I thought I'd do a video on my network control panel at my camp. It's originally I had just cellular, but I added this for fiber. I got fiber internet from Slick Fiber. It's all powered by a battery backup power supply and a 24-volt battery. I've got all the breakers here. I got 240 coming in, 120, 240 coming in. I'm only using one of the leg of the 240 to provide 120 volts to all the components. But all I'm powering is the power supply with the 120 volts. After the power supply here, I have a 24 volt to 12 volt power supply for the fiber modem and my cameras. I've got a little smart relay. I have this hooked up to the power coming out of the power supply to power all the components, except this here. When I trigger the relay here, I can shut all the components down. The cameras, it'll shut down the cameras, the router, and the relay board with the Raspberry Pi. But this is the router I'm using. The router is a cellular router made by In-Hand. In-Hand right there. That is getting all my connections that the fiber internet modem hooks to that. I got my Raspberry Pi with the relay board hooked to that. And I've got my 2 cellular antennas, 2 Wi-Fi antennas, and a GPS antenna. And it's got 4 connections here where I can set it up as I/O. I have them set as inputs. So over here I have 3 of the status relays on the power supply going to an AC fail, battery low, and charger fail. I didn't do DC okay, but I can. I've got it hooked up. Yeah, I've got it hooked up, I think. No, I didn't hook it up. I didn't hook up the output yet. I could. But the last input is hooked up to this temperature sensor. But yeah, I got 120 volt, 240 here. I've got some auxiliary contacts here I'm using one for the battery, and then here I've got 24 volts and 12 volts here. And this is my I/O termination. This is an auxiliary 24 volts that goes to items I don't want to turn off when I trigger the relay output, the relay to turn the outputs off. That'll turn off everything 24 volts but this unit itself. When I trigger that, I can't have that turn off at the same time. I have to have that stay on till it finishes the cycle and powers back on. But I've got this relay board here that gives me 8 channels I can hook up. I haven't done anything with them yet, but mostly I'm using this for remote access. I've got a Wi-Fi antenna here for access point. The internal Wi-Fi I'm using to connect to the router also, along with the wire. I've got my little thing here for the my keyboard. There's a cord here that connects to the board behind here with a SIM card and a SD card. That is a cellular hat to connect to the Raspberry Pi and the relay board, so I can also have cellular access there. So I got cellular access with this. I got fiber internet access, and I have a backup cellular access on the Raspberry Pi. A little overkill, but it's nice to, I'll have a whole bunch of cameras hooked up to this eventually. It'll be nice to not have to worry about whether my cameras are connected or not. But yeah, I got two up top there. There's two black antennas. Those are GPS antennas. Yeah, this is Meanwhile power supply. I can get all the links to these and put them in the description, but Meanwhile power supply, Meanwhile DC to DC converter. This is Sonoff smart switch. I've got a relay board made by Electronic Salon. I think it's Chinese, but I'm not sure. But I've got the WaveShare cellular hat with the SIM and SD card. We got the Raspberry Pi itself, Raspberry Pi 4B Plus. And I've got this little metal cover, so when I'm working in here, I don't hit that board and short anything out. It's kind of a heat sink to keep the heat away also. But yeah, this is in hand go. This is a nice router. It's got the GPS, cellular, the multiple antennas for the Wi-Fi and cellular are nice. For internet access or cell phone internet access, I'm using Telemobile, just a simple pay-as-you-go plan, because the fiber rarely ever drops out. But I've got all this, all these breakers to individually shut off the input or output of the power supplies and the converters. So I've got power to the power supply, power out of the power supply, power into the converter, power out of the converter, and then I've got one breaker for the auxiliary 24 volts to power the smart relay. And everything runs on battery for quite a while. I think it's probably a few hours anyways. There's the battery life. PL4 rechargeable battery. It is a 6AH battery. I can turn the power coming in. and that shows me an AC fail, and everything stays running. All the components. Nothing drops out. Everything will run right off the battery. And once I power it back on, it's automatic. Nothing drops out. It's like a UPS. And I got that all fed with seal tight over to the breaker panel, to a double pole breaker. But I'll try to compile a list of links for the major components, the breakers and the terminal strips. I could answer questions, but everything's DIN rail mountable. I've got the panduit for the wires to keep the wire neat. I have to neaten up the wires on the bottom here, but all the wires inside the unit itself are all very neat and organized. I got all these channels with the panduit to keep everything nice. All the antenna wires, all the power wires. And I put the antennas down here, and then I have my fiber with the green cable is the fiber coming in. That's ran underground from my pedestal. About 100 feet of fiber optic cable. Thanks for watching. I thought this would be neat to show everybody how I power my cameras, how I access and control things at my camp.